Oh, hello and welcome to the second part of this video where I've been building this raised aquascape ecosystem pond. It's going to be semi-formal. We're going to have some more of the sandstone put on the inside after the liner and underlay's gone in. We've got the biofilms there to connect up. We've got the pump vault to go in and all the planting around the outside. So if you missed the first part, link is up here, and you'll see how I constructed all of this wall and the foundations and how we got to this stage here. For now, let's get the underlayment in and the liner inside. So there is the bottom layer of the Aquascape underlayment protection fleece, all in place. That's obviously going to be protecting the liner from underneath and from the sides. Next up, we're going to be putting the liner in. As you can see, this is a very unusual, quite unforgiving shape because we've got the curve to fit round. We've got the cutouts for the shelves, and then where the pumps go in, so it goes in and out a fair bit. So yes, hopefully the liner won't give me too much trouble. Okay, so that's the liner in. I'm not going to lie, it was a bit of a wrestle trying to get it into all these points. As I put the overlay on top, I'm just going to get that folded into these corners even more. Key thing is I've got enough height going up to that biofilms, obviously, where I need to make my watertight seal, and obviously coming up the edges here I've got some more stonework coming up higher than this. So this bit here only needs to, it's going to be cut to half this, so the brick on top's basically going to be mortared onto half the brick, half the liner to keep that in place. Once a bit more weight is in there, and it's not going to start pulling everything in. So yeah, a little bit more folding in them corners as I go round with the overlay. And that is the overlay of a protective Aquascape fleece in. I'm going to get the pump vault sat in this space here now. That's going to further hold everything in place, because until I start getting this blocked and rocked up, this is going to have a fair bit of movement in this liner because of the shape of the internal shape of this form. So I'm going to get the pump vault in, get that in. I'm going to get a layer of gravel in the bottom. I'm going to get that tucked into all the corners. That's going to then further push all this liner down, and then I'm going to level off on these square edges here, the right angle where the other blocks of these are going to be stacked to hide the liner on both sides. All will become apparent soon. My bottom row of sandstone blocks is now in. They're all leveled. What I'm going to do now is get some waterfall foam, just foam between them, stack them up as I go, just to give them a bit of security. But it's going to be the water, when the water's in there, it's going to be holding it against the sides. So yeah, I'm going to get these built up. And here you can see I've made the silicone seal of the overflow pipe around the liner. This is marine grade, fish safe, wildlife safe silicone, so there's no toxins in it. So as you can see, I've started forming the waterfall. I've got some moss foamed in at the top there just to disguise that edge. I've got my spillway rock in the middle, my retainer rocks at the sides. I've got this extra spillway coming down. Now what I'm going to show you in a moment is how I've got this extra piece of line here. I'm going to foam that in. I'm going to hide that with a smaller rock in front. And the idea is I want the water to sort of pool up there and then come down over that second spillway rock right into the middle of the pond, instead of it disappearing down here and filtering through that way. So let's get that done now. So that's this section foamed and mossed in, and I've just got to do this section here, similar kind of thing, just add in that liner, that bib liner, just to force the water down this middle section for the best effect. Okay, so we're starting to really take shape now. We've got all the waterfall area rocked in, we've got some plant in there, we've got the tall Carex grasses, I've got some small alpine plantings, I've got a bluegrass there, I've got a Nepeta here, which is pollinator friendly. I've also got this little section here to hide the valve, so this can lift off quite easily for access of the valve, so that's all nicely in. The rest of this area here, I say, is now going to be built up another layer. It's going to be a gravel bed all the way around where the aquatic plants, the reeds, will be planted. But what I'm going to do now is start building up this inside edge with the rocks and boulders, get that liner nice and tight, and then that'll probably be me the rest of today, and then we can get this liner cut, get the underlay cut, and then start getting that next layer mortared on, tie it in with that layer there, and then it's just the coping stones around the top once that's set, and then all the rest of the gravel and soil can be brought up to height once these here will be act as a retainer. So I've just trimmed the liner so it's all ready to be mortared down on this edge here now to create that sealed joint. That next row of blocks has been secured on, so yeah, let's get these on, and then after that it's the coping stones. And there we have the final course of the sandstone block on. All that's left to go on there now is the coping stone, which I'm going to do tomorrow. They're pretty heavy. I'm just going to make sure this bed goes off nice and solid before I start putting any more weight on top. So now I'm just finishing up this detailing work with the planting, the soil, the dressing, if you like, getting the remainder of this liner covered. Whilst that's all set in, and I've got these coping layer stones to go on, so just got some waterfall foam here. We're just foaming up between the liner and the rocks. That's going to be gravelled over, soil edge brought up. Likewise, similar things happening there. I've got some branches and some logs I want to dress up here with as well. So yeah, all coming together quite nicely. So what I'm doing now, I'm just filling the pond up, rinsing down all the gravel, all the rock, and then that's going to be pumped out before I get the system running. As you can see, I've got the biofalls dressed and done. There will be a separate video coming up after this one that's going to detail the connection of the liner to that, the fittings I use, the dressing of it, the pipe work, and into the pump vault. So stay tuned for that. That'll be along in maybe a week or two's time. So the dressing all around the planting beds and the waterfalls is all done. As you can see, I've added some log detail here and some gravel beds there, so that's all ready to go. I'm going to turn the waterfall on now. Water's going to be a little bit murky to start with. I've already pumped out the original water that had the sort of residue from the gravel and stone in. It's going to only clear up really once it starts running through the filtration system. And then I'm going to add some multi-aqua from Water Feature Shop. It's an Aquascape product, and it's going to add 14 different types of beneficial bacteria into the system, and that's going to help fight algae and sludge and all the bad things and keep it a natural ecosystem. Anyway, let's turn this waterfall on. So these are the coping stones I'm going to be using. Because of the walls curved, I'm going to have to be cutting angles off of these at the right distance. Keep that centimetre, 10mm joint gap, and then push them together, work my way around, cut them as I go, and then get them all laid in the right order. All my angles for the coping stones have now been cut, keeping that 10mm gap. So all I've got to do now, get these mortared on. And that's the pointing done on those coping stones. I'm just going to leave that to dry, and that's going to dry to a very similar colour to the stone itself. So now all that's left is to get the Cotswold stone finish all over this MOT Type 1, and then I'll be done. Okay, so we've got all of the Cotswold decorative stone down. As you may have noticed, the keen eye view, I've given this fence 3 coats of paint for the customer. She had the paint, so I said, yeah, it makes sense to do it before I did the stone. Put the water butt back in, just hose everything down. We are looking lovely in there. And obviously I painted all of the fence for the customer as well. So everything is tidied up. It looks a lot bigger space. I'll just show you the before and after in a minute. Customer's really happy. Okay, I just want to quickly run through a couple of the design elements that I put in place with this pond design. Where I'm standing now is at the front of the garden, if you like, just outside the conservatory where the lady spends a lot of her time. So from here I needed to make sure that the waterfall was visible, because we've got this sort of climbing frame that the lady's going to be planting some climbers plants onto. So as you can see, we've got the waterfall above the wall there. So as we step forward, you're going to be able to hear the waterfall getting more and more present. And part of the reason for this is that I wanted to have this water level down here. I wanted to get that drop. It's that drop that's creating that noise, which I like. And I also really like this effect. I tried to get it so it almost looks like this waterfall is bursting out of a wall. So we've kind of got these edges where it looks like it's sort of cracked open, and we've got nature pouring through into the pond area. So that was my thinking. Customer's very happy. That's all I do know. I'm very happy. And I think it's really opened up this space here when you see how it was before and what it is now. A lot cleaner, a lot more wildlife friendly. We've got some purple leaf striper planted there. They're going to grow big and tall. They're going to attract pollinators, butterflies, bees and moths. And we've got a Nepeta, which is this one here amongst the grasses. When that grows again, that's going to be very much attracting the pollinators, which is another key thing for me and my business ethos. And yeah, I just think we've got a really nice space now, and the lady's going to really want to come down here. Okay, so that is another project all wrapped up, another happy customer. There will be a more detailed video coming soon, probably next week actually, or the one after, how I connected up the biofalls and the pipe work and the pump vault down there. So you'll see that in a bit more detail. I didn't put it in this one. This is more highlighting the feature, watching it grow and develop over the timeline. So if you'd like anything like this in your garden, don't forget, contact me. All details are here. Previous video details again are up there. Also do, I'd say, more standard sunken ponds and decorative water features, all using the Aquascape products. Or I can give you a more of a still pond, a wildlife pond where you haven't got any moving water, but we'll do all that with the correct planting, keep all the nutrients out of the pond and everything thriving as it should be. So that's it for now. I will see you on the next one.